Apparently we're live. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this morning's live Q&A session. A little bit daunting to be on the side of this. I don't think we quite know what we're expecting, but maybe we'll start with some things we are expecting, some introductions, some welcomes, and to tell you all what this is about. So for those that I haven't met before, I'm Andy Banks, and I'm the CEO of VentureForge, and we're an Amazon agency that helps enterprise brands become more commercially successful on Amazon. I'm joined by a number of our team, and we'll get to intros to those guys at the moment, but probably to help you, the viewers, work out are you in the right place. Today, we're here with a follow-up session to this month's webinar and podcast that has gone out, where we talked all about the importance of content. Topic was refresh, redesign, and convert. And we talked about all things content, from how do you prioritize visual content? How do you leverage A+, premium A+, brand stores, the strategic role of storefronts? How do you build consumer trust? The role of realistic messaging. I think we might have even ventured down the AI route, talking about some of Amazon's new tools. So this is a follow-up Q&A session from that. We actually ran out of time at the end of that session with far too many questions coming in and a number of follow-ups. So we're putting ourselves on the line, or maybe I'm putting you guys on the line. You guys have all the answers. But today is for you, the audience, with any questions you have around content. They can be strategic, they can be technical, they can be detailed, they can be high level, but we're in your hands today. If you didn't catch the podcast, hopefully somebody's behind the scenes, and we're going to bob some links into the chat in a second with links to where you can find that podcast episode on our various channels. We are everywhere from YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I'm padding waiting for that message to appear, but I'm sure it will appear at some point in the not too distant future. Before we jump into the Q&A, maybe start with some introductions. Rob, can I come to you first, please, mate?
Yeah, I'm Rob Smith. I'm head of design at VentureForge, and yeah, I've got a vast amount of experience within the Amazon platform, within multiple categories and sectors and different brands. And prior to that, I was in agencies for a good 12, 15 years. So I'm well versed in all aspects of branding and packaging design, which obviously helps within Amazon. So yeah.
Fantastic, Rob. Great background as well. I think it's very interesting. We come to these things and talk about Amazon design experience, but your background, I know, goes way, way, way beyond that. And it's made a big difference to the work you do with us. So thanks for the intro, Rob. Emma and Jess both sat there thinking, who's going to get asked next? Jess, you smiled. Let's go for you, please.
Oh, damn it. So, like you said, my name's Jess. I've been working with VentureForge for like 2 years, roughly, maybe. I am a senior account manager here at VentureForge. One of my favorite things to do is content. I work a lot on the projects where we work to improve like conversion through updating the infographics and things like that. So it is kind of like a passion of mine, is seeing that conversion grow through updating the content.
Thank you very much, Jess. I've really been a bit of a champion of our A/B testing service as well, and seen some great work you've done there. Yeah, so I'm sure we'll have some questions coming in on conversion optimization and A/B testing today. And last but by no means least, Emma, over to you.
Normally I'm first, so this is nice to go last.
Thought I'd give you a break.
So I'm Emma. I'm the head of seller at VentureForge. So I manage a lovely team of 3 that work on the majority of our seller clients, and then a few hybrid clients as well. The reason why I'm so keen to be involved in this podcast and anything around the content side of things is that I worked for 10 plus years on e-commerce websites before this, and also worked in stores myself. So I know and value the importance of visuals and how you bring your brand through the art of visuals. So for me to talk about content is, like Jess, it's a passion. So I'm really, really looking forward to answering some of the questions and getting to deep dive into everything that is to do with imagery and how you come across as a brand.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Emma. So we're not far off getting into the questions and answers. I have just realised that the chat is disabled. So when I mentioned the podcast links earlier, they've kind of been put by one of our team into the questions area with links to all those channels. So if you have a look into the little questions area down the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll see those links in there. And please now, let's get those questions and answers in. We've got a fair few that will be dropping in from people that have asked outside of the session off the back of the podcast and webinar session that we did. But please start getting getting your questions in, and we'll try and prioritize those as we go. You can also upvote the questions. So if somebody else has asked something that you're interested in, upvote it, and that means it will pop to the top of our list, and it's much more likely to get an answer. So please, let's start there if you can do. Before we go into questions from the audience, I want to flip this and pop a question back to you guys in the audience that will just maybe help us tailor our conversation a little bit today. So in a couple of seconds on your screen, a poll will appear, and if I've got this right, there we are. Which area of Amazon content is the biggest focus for your brand right now? Give you guys a few seconds to get your answers into there. Let's see how those answers are coming in. Okay, that's great. We can start to see the answers coming in. Improving listing structure and copy still. I was waiting till we've got kind of 10 or 20 votes to get the shape, but that's really shaped up now as number one. 40% of people, nearly 40%, improving listing structure and copy. A+ and conversion through imagery, kind of head to head at around 20% of the votes each. Brand store, quite low down the pecking order. Quite surprising given the value that we see for clients in brand stores. We'll see if that changes. And a broader reviewing the wider content strategy, probably a bit less specific, but sits down there. We've pretty much got votes in from probably everybody except us four. So I think that's gives us a bit of clear guidance. Listing structure and copy, A+ content to drive sales. Improving conversion through imagery and infographics really seems to be where that focus is. Guys, I've padded plenty, so you ready for your first question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so a question from Nathan. I launched a new brand on Amazon about 6 weeks ago, but I'm struggling to get the adverts working. Almost all ads have below 1 ROAS. What tips do you have for new brands on Amazon? So thanks for the question, Nathan. I'm going to bob that up on the screen so we can all see kind of what's being asked there. Let's start from a content. I think we can answer this in a very broad way, not just around the content side of things. Let's start from a content point of view. You have all ads below 1 ROAS. We've got something here that feels like it's not yet driving ROI. Let's assume the advertising is working well. What are your guys' thoughts from a content point of view? Why would something be low ROAS from a content perspective?
Sorry, to say 6 weeks. 6 weeks is still very, very early. If you've just launched on Amazon and you're about 6 weeks in, that's still the learning phase. You would say that like 6 to 8 weeks is where you start to gather the data, where you start to learn how your products actually work. So it is quite early to start really double downing and seeing how those ads are working. And from a content perspective, there is a lot to learn around reviews that you get back, how what your conversion value is as well. So I think there's a lot of data to gather before you can start making really, really detailed decisions on what you do moving forward.
Any more thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say to make sure as well that your listings are retail ready. So making sure that you've got the reviews on there. That is one of the main ones that we see. So enrolling Vine in particular to get some reviews to start off with. I know we spoke about it before in the other session, but nobody wants to be the first person to buy a product. So if you go onto a listing and you see that it doesn't have any reviews, it erodes that trust in the product. So they might see that and then go elsewhere. We see that there's quite an uplift from around, I think it's around 15 to 20 like reviews. Once you've got around that, then you start to see an improvement in ROAS. But yeah, I'd say definitely start with Vine.
I think my instinct is it's a very difficult question to answer without the context around what you're doing. Because I can see probably one of two things, and probably in reality, all of them going on at the same time. You could have fantastic listings, amazing content, and terribly targeted advertising, which would drive your ROAS down. You can have amazing advertising and terrible listings, which would drive your ROAS down. The reality is it's going to be both of those things and more things combined. But I think, Emma, your key point on that is it's 6 weeks. We would not expect any brand that brought a new product to us, unless it had massive brand recognition and it was or a new product from a brand that had that recognition. We wouldn't be expecting anything above that in that first 6 weeks. I'd be looking at a 3-month test and learn period. What do you need to spend to learn in 3 months, not to drive profit? And I'd be looking more at a 6 to 12-month profitability period on this. Spend your cash to buy the data to tell you, is it advertising that's not working as well as it can? Is it the content? Fix those things as you go and test and learn. And then I think you can ask that question. But I think for now, fasten your seatbelt, invest, learn for the next few weeks. 6 weeks is too early to start to answer that question. Okay, right. This is difficult, thinking on your feet, answering questions and working which ones to answer next. Let's have a look. It goes to be quite high level. What is the best approach for lifestyle imagery for products used by a wide variety of customers? Quite a broad question here, but it's maybe one for your direction or from more of a broad design point of view.
Yeah, I guess, it depends on the category with everything like this, but I guess the trick with lifestyle is to just kind of corner every aspect that you want to achieve by selling your product. And I guess trying to think of some examples of like products where say if you're using like a travel mug, it's really key to show those products in the environments that you're suggesting in your copy that you're selling. And I think it's just that visual reminder is really key in those aspects. So I think you need to try and cover kind of 3 or 4 bases of showing different lifestyle imagery. I think the issue that some brands make is that they just use very, very similar lifestyle shots across the range. And I think they need to tell a story rather than just be a nice kind of picture. They need to have that substance behind them, and they need to support what you're saying in the copy rather than just a nice looking image.
Yeah.
Would you
agree? Yeah, it's focusing on the scenario, not the demographic. I think it's really easy to get tied down by the actual demographic. If you're looking at personas, you might have a very specific age range that are shopping that product, but you need to really concentrate on the scenario. So think of the 3 to 4 main reasons why someone's purchasing that product and why they need that product, and highlight that in the scenario. So like you said, Rob, with the travel mug, what are the 3 to 4 main reasons someone's purchasing that? And then highlight that in different lifestyle imagery across the board, whether it's in your brand store or your listing itself. I think if you're marketing towards multiple demographics and multiple people as such, concentrating on why they purchase the product helps with conversion.
Yeah, I guess when you talk about lazy images, Rob, I remember, you still see it sadly, but you look at Amazon listings where people I've got 7 images, and people think the number of images is the thing that makes you successful. But those 7 images are showing the same product from 7 slightly different angles, because that's all the marketing team had. I want to take your example of the insulated mug. For me, it's about showing you that product in the scenarios that you're likely to use it in. So it feels like it fits in your life, feels like it solves your problem. But they're also using that lifestyle photography cleverly to show off the different features of the product. So taking your insulated mug example, I've got one here. It's not from our client, and I get shocked because I've just mixed my wife's travel mug to bring some hot water into this webinar. But what type of lid has it got? Quite often it won't show how does the product pour from here, how do you drink from here, and those are key features. You don't need to show that in a dull, boring infographic. That can be shown in lifestyle. So I think for me, it's kind of going back to my old marketing agency days. Features tell and benefits sell. And showing how that product can change and influence my life is the thing that will get me to buy it. It's the thing that will differentiate price points. I love your travel mug example. There's 940,000 of those on Amazon that you can choose from today. But for me, I buy quality, not premium, but I buy quality. I want to know if it's going to keep my drink warm. I want to know if it's rugged. I want to know if it's dishwasher safe. You can show all of that in lifestyle photography. I'm a family man. I want to know, is it going to go in my kid's school bag? All of that can be shown in lifestyle, not just in infographics. I think for me, it's making the product feel like it fits in my life and solves my problem is probably the best approach I've put on it, not just filling bloody image slots with the 7 images that marketing have given to you.
I think so, and I think it's that thing as well of thinking of your A+ as well. A+ Premium is a brilliant place for lifestyle photography, and you've got multiple modules in there where you can really showcase all of those features you just mentioned. So you can go through 6 or 7 kind of highlighted lifestyle photography in there. So don't just stick to the infographics. Really make use of the A+ in your brand store and really showcase all of the features that you want to showcase.
I would say as well that if you're wanting to show like a wide range of like age groups, for example, show families. So for example, say it's like some kind of sports equipment, you know, you could show a family playing a game of football, or if it's like vitamins and it works for all age groups, show a family, you know, taking them together, that kind of thing. If you are keen on obviously showing those age groups, but sometimes it isn't going to fit where you can show it as like a big family or, you know, different age groups. And that's like where you guys were saying, like focus down onto the benefits and show the features and how it can apply in people's lives.
This question is clearly about kind of imagery, but I can't help but link this back to video a little bit as well, because for me, a video is just a more power. A video is literally a series of images strung together. So the ability to sell a product in a lifestyle scenario in video is significantly more powerful than images. And I think with the recent change in tool sets that Amazon are bringing to the market and the advancement of AI, the ability for brands to create amazing product videos that show off the product much better than any imagery Rob, I really risk you kicking me under the virtual table, but it's never been easier, has it? I mean, I've seen some of the work that you've been doing in testing for our clients. You've created outdoor photo shoots and outdoor videos of products up mountains that are highly, highly believable that brands couldn't do 3 months ago. I think there's a whole host of power to be unlocked in that.
Exactly that. I think, the door's been wide open for us now to take advantage of everything, seasonal content, new content, and I think it is all up for grabs now. I think brands need to exercise what's available now and really make use of it.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Let's move on to our next question. This could be a really interesting one. So a question in from Susan. Susan, thank you for the question. When brands review their listings, what are the most common content mistakes that quietly limit conversion?
For me, is it images? Like, are the images not explaining enough? Are they explaining too little? Is there trust in what you're presenting or showing within your image content? I think that's a big one. We're mobile first, aren't we? At the the world is mobile first. You need quick, reliable, trustworthy content. So I think if you are not providing the information at a glance that's trustworthy, you're going to limit conversion very, very quickly.
So it's an interesting debate there and then about the role of lifestyle imagery, which we've just spent God knows how long saying is a real focus. But then actually when you bring it to the mobile device, where I know you're always kind of talking about how many people shop on mobile on Amazon, bullet points are pushed below the price point, they're pushed below the fold, and actually the info, the imagery, and you said infographics, do the selling there. So actually where is that trade-off between great lifestyle imagery to sell features and benefits, but then the infographics on mobile, which can short and sharp get across the key reasons why you might buy this product?
I think there's a blend. I think some of shop on Amazon every single day. I work on Amazon, so I see the ins and outs and everything. But for me personally, as a customer through products within Amazon, if I can see a mix of imagery that gives me not bullet points as such, but key features, very, very easy to read. And then I am seeing those lifestyle imageries maybe further in the 7 to 8 images or first main images. It helps me apply myself to purchase that product as well. So if I can quickly see features, benefits, and then see the lifestyle or the scenario in which that product is used or bought for, then I think that helps me personally convert. And I feel like that builds the trust as well. I think there's a fine blend between lifestyle and functional imagery.
I'm testing that.
Yeah, 100%.
Let the data do the talking.
Yeah.
From my side, I'd say that like brands get bogged down with like their own jargon, and I think sometimes it can be difficult for people to look at it from a consumer point of view because they know the product so well. So sometimes you have to remember that this will be the first time that people are seeing your brand or maybe even that product, and really explaining it in easy to understand terms, and making sure that you're not just going too jargon heavy with those types of products.
Yeah, and I think another thing as well is look at your competitors, but don't copy what your competitors are doing. Really differentiate what you're doing and get your key USPs and really hammer them home in those first few infographics and lifestyle shots, and really make your brand come alive. Don't kind of look at other listings and like what they're doing and try and copy like for like. Really make it your own and make it really visible that this is a different product, and these are the key aspects that differentiate it from your competitors, and this is why you should be buying it, I think.
There's a piece of tech, Shulex, which is really good for that, because it shows who's buying the product, who's buying yours by looking at the reviews. So it's a review analysis piece of kit. And what's really good about that is you can see where they're falling down. So you can see, like where they're doing well. So you can obviously, take learnings from that, but you can see where they're falling down. And if that's somewhere where you're actually, strong in, you can then try and put that into your infographics. So for example, if you're selling pens and on the review analysis, it keeps saying that the competitors' pens leak, and yours don't, make sure that that's a call out, just things like that.
I think there's a whole host of power in that reviews data, Jessica. I think that's one really good use case of it, is look at, so whilst Rob says don't copy competition, absolutely right. There's a whole host of data in their reviews for when people are saying their products aren't great. But what brands often miss is the amazing data in their own reviews. A brand will normally come to the table, and you mentioned USP, Robs, and they'll say, people buy my product because of X, Y, and Z, and this is our differentiator. Well, the reviews will actually tell you why they bought that product, not just why you think they bought that product, what you think your positioning is. I think when you look at that from a brand's perspective, particularly if you've got a good volume of reviews, you'll find things in those reviews that you don't realize are reasons that consumers are buying your product and normally wouldn't feature in your listing content. You'll also find in there why people are not buying your product or why people are dissatisfied with your product. And sometimes that's not about it being a bad product, it's about misaligned expectations. The current listing told the customer the product would do A, B, and C. Well, the product was never designed to do A, B, and C. So using all that insight to really hone that listing, to call out all the great reasons people actually do buy your product, and to be really clear about what it does and doesn't do, so you'll sell more to the people that matter, and you won't be selling to people that will ultimately return it. I'm so glad you mentioned Shulex, Jessica. I think that's an absolute goldmine of data. Other AI tools are available. Literally screenshot your entire Amazon listing and dump it through ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever your tool of choice is, and ask it why people buy my product based on reviews data. I can guarantee you'll almost always find something in there that you can bring into your listings to improve conversion.
Someone's just asked for the address of that website, so I've just popped it into the questions panel.
Amazing, thank you. So we can't re-enable chat once we're live, guys, so apologies. Bob answers into this and we'll follow up afterwards with any links that we've talked about as well. Susan, hope that answered your question. I could probably talk all day about common mistakes. Might come back to this one actually. Let's work our way through some of the others. Let's start with this one from Martina. So hello, last year our brand was doing well, but this year we are experiencing a massive drop in sales. Our A+ content is nice and we have a healthy amount of keywords in titles. The same listings that were performing well last year are now barely converting. Do we have any advice?
This is a common one, isn't it? If are you looking at the market, how the market's changed? Is there an increase in competitor products or increase in competitors within that category? It's very easy to quickly do a deep dive into what others are doing around that same product or same category. And you may see that the competition has massively increased. So there's work to do in around targeting that competition, ensuring that your market share either stays the same or increases. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that you need to do with that. And also the comment around the A+ content is nice, and we have healthy amount of keywords and titles. When was the last time that they were updated? Are you ensuring that those are updated, not too, not too quickly and not all the time, but you have to keep up. I think the main thing around Amazon is that it moves so quickly. The competition can change within a day or a week. So you have to monitor what everyone's doing around you as well.
I'd start, Martina, trying to identify the source of the problem. When I look at revenue coming through an e-commerce site or through an Amazon listing, you don't actually generate revenue. You generate traffic that converts at an average basket value. And if you times those three things together, that gives you the revenue. So I'd start by isolating your problem. Have you got the same traffic or less traffic? If you've got the same traffic, but you're converting lower, you've got a conversion issue in the listing, not a trafficking issue in the listing. So I'd maybe start by isolating the problem first. So I'll look at traffic or conversion. Emma's point is really valid. Maybe start at a higher level. What's happened to your category? Because if you sell widgets and all of a sudden less people are buying widgets on Amazon, that's an Amazon market issue or a category issue, not a brand issue for you. So I'll certainly start at that more macro level. What is the source of the problem? What variables have changed? And then from that point, you can start to isolate it. Can I just try and focus this a little bit more for you guys that are kind of helping me out on this? So let's say it is, we identify here it is a traffic issue. And let's say it's an organic traffic issue, not an advertising traffic issue. How would you guys start to analyze that and fix that? How would you try and understand where has traffic dropped, why has traffic dropped, and what can you do about it?
So I would have a look at like Helium-10 and things like that and do a keyword refresh. So like Emma said, when was the last time that you did it? I would typically do it like seasonally because a lot of products are seasonal. So start with a keyword refresh and then have a look at what the competitors have got their keywords in there as well. That would be my starting point.
And just to clarify, just by keyword refresh, you mean go and check what keywords are actually driving traffic to your sector, be like your competitors, your listings, where do you rank for those keywords now, have they changed, and then you can start to think about your content off the back of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. What if that says keywords haven't changed, traffic is still there, and we've got a conversion issue on our hands? Where would you guys start from a listing point of view to try and address a conversion issue?
Conversion issue is that you are getting people to the product, they're interested in the product, but then they're not purchasing. So it's trying to figure out what is potentially blocking them from actually clicking and placing that order. Is the content not clear enough? It might look really, really beautiful, or it might be really visual, but is the content trustworthy? Is it helping them figure out why they want to purchase that product over the competitors? I think there's always space and time, like Jess says, for seasonal refresh. Take a look at past seasons, past quarters. Is it performing better in certain quarters over others? Is there something that speaks more to a conversion for a customer in that quarter versus another? And just really take a deep dive into what's working and when it isn't working. I think it's really key to take a look into that.
Yeah, I'd also say to have a look at your listings and see how many competitors are on your listings. So it could be that you're being targeted really heavily from competitors, and that's where you're leaking the conversion. So it could be that you need to start doing some defensive advertising where you take up the slots on your own page so that you're not leaking to a competitor. And alongside that, I would say just to double check your pricing and make sure that if there is a competitor advertising on your product, that you are roughly the same price, if obviously they're the same quality product, because that's going to be a quick win for a competitor if they're a lot cheaper and they're at the same quality level.
I think, Martina, to come back to the crux of your question, I think there are probably 101 reasons why a listing, a product or a group of products could be down. I think I definitely advise you start with that macro data, what's happened at the category, and filter down from there. If you need any support on that, because this is possibly a big rabbit hole to go down, we've got tools and technology and services that we can offer to help you understand where does the problem lie. So if that's of interest, please just drop us a line. But I say this is possibly Pandora's box in terms of how can you answer this is a question, because it could be one in 100 things. But if you do want to follow up Martina, just let us know and we'll happily spend a bit of time to show you how we can help there.
We haven't even touched on stock or anything like that, which can have a massive effect. So yeah, get in touch, because there's so much that we can look into.
Yeah, that's part of the fun though. That's why I was saying before about like why I really enjoy doing the conversion work. It's getting doing that deep dive and like really investigating where the leaks are. Yeah, it's half of the fun.
Digital forensics is
It pretty much, I'm glad you mentioned price and stock. I was holding back from that. I was trying to keep this content focused, but you're absolutely right to call it out. Price and stock availability are the two biggest conversion drivers for any product in any category. So you've asked it from a content point of view, Martin. I've tried to keep your answers down that route, but I'd certainly be starting from price. Has the price changed? Has the stock been available? If those two things are consistent, everything else we've said then stands. But if you've changed price or changed stock, maybe the listing, the category, the traffic in isn't actually the issue at all. I'll say, if you want to follow up, give us a shout and we'll have to spend a bit more time with you on a one-on-one basis and try and unpick that. All right, where do we go next? We've got plenty of questions coming through. Are you ready for an AI one, a Rufus question? Here we go. So Andrew, great question coming in. With the noise around the importance of AEO, GEO, product listing optimization and its impact on the visibility and rank getting louder, what are our opinions on this subject and what would we recommend? So what would our recommended approach be to improve visibility in ChatGPT and or Rufus? I'm going to start with this one, if you don't mind, guys, and just kind of put more of a macro level thought on this. I think your question starts off very interesting, Andrew, with the noise around the importance of geo, AI search, etc. I think that's probably how I'm seeing the landscape at the moment, and noise is the appropriate word. It's very, very, very early stage for how AI, geo is impacting how people shop. There's a lot of noise from Amazon around Rufus. There's a lot of noise from agencies around Rufus because it gives them something to talk about, and we're guilty of doing that with new things that come out as well. But what are we actually seeing from Amazon? What data are we seeing that says that the game has changed? Well, in reality at the moment, not a great deal. We're seeing new advertising features from Amazon, for example, giving you the chance to advertise in Rufus. But are we actually seeing anything across our brands that say geo has fundamentally changed the way a consumer shops on Amazon? I don't think we are at this point. And what might be worth talking about here, Andrew, is some of the approach that we are taking and where we see where we've got a project running internally to look at the importance of this, how we're going about it, and how we're trying to get to the point where we can say, yes, this is important for brands or not. So maybe start there and share a bit about how we're approaching it. I think the things we're seeing that are highly likely to influence whether a product is or isn't visible in the AI tools on Amazon, so I'm talking specifically here about Rufus, is product attributes and the product data set behind the scenes being much more rich, much more relevant, much more up to date. Brands for so long have been able to get away with not filling in all of that rich product data and focusing on titles, bullet points, and descriptions. But we are now led to believe that Rufus is using so much more of that data behind the scenes. We're starting to maybe not put more focus on it, not across the board, but we are aware that that is possibly where the focus needs to be. And then how we're starting to bring that to life, we've got a project going on internally. It's a good job my co-founder's not on this, because I'm not even sure if he wants me talking about this externally yet. We've got an internal project where we are working with a number of clients and a number of their ASINs to specifically test all the things that we believe are influencing visibility in AI tools behind the scenes. But we're deliberately testing that on a range of products that aren't core to our client strategies. And what I mean by that is not things that we're throwing a load of advertising budget at, not things where we're heavily optimizing the listings. These are the boring middle of the road products that we know that we're only tweaking the things that we believe are highly likely to influence AI. And so we can then isolate that as a test case. If we see improvements of sales of those products, we know it's coming from the tweaks that we're making to things we believe are influencing that visibility. So I think I've probably got a bit of a preachy answer to your question there, Andrew. I think the key things I'd call out would be, I think there's a lot of noise at the moment, and the way you phrase that question, noise, is really important. I don't think that noise is going to go away. I think there's noise there for a very, very good reason. I think the way consumers shop is radically changing. I think AI shopping is going to be as important as the shift to mobile was back in my early days of e-commerce, where that completely revolutionized when and how people bought. Do we fully understand where it's going yet? No. I think we're on that kind of, we're somewhere in that pivoting journey of how consumers shop. So I think you will hear more noise. I think it's really over to people like us and you guys in brands to be testing. What do you think? What are you hearing in that noise? What do you think is influencing your product's visibility on Amazon AI tools and off Amazon AI tools, and start to test and learn and build cases around that, start to validate it. If we are all doing that as an industry, that noise will become more focused. I don't ever see Amazon, and I'm taking my history here is 20 odd years in e-commerce, where I've seen Google algorithm changes and Meta algorithm changes that completely disrupted how people advertised or searched. Those partners never came out and said, this is how we change the algorithm. It was down to the brands, it was down to the agencies to figure that out. And I think we're at that point again. So it's down to us as an industry to really start to test and innovate and share. I think maybe here, guys, there's an opportunity for us to maybe open book a little bit more about what we're doing around this and share more of that with people like you, Andrew, where we can help you learn a little bit better as we're learning as well within the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, I've done the whole preacher thing there. Have you guys got anything you want to throw into that while I have a drink?
I think the key point is that don't just optimize for AI separately. Try and toggle the two. I think, like you said, Andy, we're still in that learning phase of what happens with AI and how our purchasing behavior changes. And you don't want to miss the mark with your product by just solely looking at how AI is working. We've still got the old-fashioned way of purchasing behavior that we need to cater for. So don't be too quick off the mark.
I would just say as well that we've talked a little bit about the purchase behavior changing, but we've not gone into like specifics of what that actually means. So what we're finding is that people are talking to ChatGPT or they're talking to Rufus, and they're saying, I'm doing X, what do I need to do the certain things? So for example, I'm going camping, what do I need? And then Rufus or ChatGPT will say, you need X, Y, and Z. So again, just making sure that your products talk about the use cases as well, and thinking about quite specific use cases too. So you could say like camping, but you could say, I'm going to my first festival, what do I need? So yeah, just thinking about those use cases instead of just the like key selling points of, for example.
A really, really interesting one is the nature of how AI is working with regards to like skincare and hair care. I think the use of ChatGPT now is give me a routine, say, for this X hair type, this X skin type. And like Andy said, in the background, if you don't have those like key ingredients within your product listing, you're going to miss the mark with that product being pushed to you. So just for a very, very specific category, skincare, hair care, there's a lot more that you can put into the back end of those listings to help push you through ChatGPT. We're coming into a world now where people are desperate for routines, and ChatGPT are pushing routines out to you. And if you can then optimize your listing to then be pushed through ChatGPT as an option of a product, then you're winning.
I thought you were looking radiant this morning, Emma. Is it that new routine you got?
Just how do I get rid of the tired eye bags from being a mum?
I find the filters on the cameras work best.
Yeah. Foundation does a lot.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Right, I'm going to go on to something a bit more technical now. So I've got a great question in from Nathan. Should I combine my product variations under one listing, or create a new listing for each variation of my products to have a larger footprint on the Amazon search page? I sense there's going to be different answers to this, pros, cons, and recent changes. So I'll sit back and let you more technical.
I like this one. So it really just depends. So say, for example, you've got, we'll go back to the cup scenario. So you've got insulated cups and you've just come out with a new colour. You can variate those to obviously boost the new one so that it gets more reviews. But for example, say you're number one in the category, it would be my suggestion to start to separate them slightly, so that you take up more of those slots in the ranking. Because ideally, if you've got 10 products, you want to take up number 1 to number 10 of all the best sellers, which you might be able to do. But yeah, so it's really case dependent. So are you launching something new, you're trying to boost it, or are you dominating in your area and you want to spread the message and kind of push out the competitors so they're not seen as much?
Great answer. And also just understanding recent changes around how that review sharing works. It used to be one of the best hacks, isn't it? Merge them all together. We've got some questions in the backlog around reviews and how can you gain reviews. We used to merge them together, gain reviews, share them, then you could actually split it out and take reviews with you. Well, what's happened recently in that, though? There's been a change around how useful that is.
Yeah, it has changed, but not massively. So the way that I understand it is that when you variate something, it used to be, like you say, that everything would then share the same reviews. What Amazon are now doing is they're checking to see if the product that you've twisted or variated with it is actually the same kind of product. So for example, if you've got a cool bag, but then you've got an insulated mug and you variate those together, Amazon will go, well, that's not the same kind of product. So it won't share the reviews, even though you've variated it. But if, for example, you've got just another color variant, it will go, oh yeah, that is the same product, we'll share the reviews. So it's not a cheat code like it used to be. It used to be like, oh yeah, let's just variate it with that and it'll see boosts. Yeah.
It's happening with flavor as well. So like specific flavors now have reviews pulled out separately. Amazon is deeming those as like different intent. So the flavor is a change in customer behavior.
Interesting.
So I think if I was to summarize your answer, Jess, it's still valid to merge them together to benefit from review sharing if the product is highly related. Big watch outs if it's not and you can't do that. I think the crux of your answer was it's subjective. What are you trying to achieve? If it's trying to rapidly launch a new product and accelerate it, merging it together could be quite strategic. If it's trying to get a bigger footprint in the category, splitting them out might be more strategic. Reality is it's probably somewhere in between, depending on what your brand's up to.
Yeah.
Also interesting to look at it from an ads perspective. I know that we're looking into content, but from an ads perspective, what's the cost advertising a variation over 10 split products? The difference there.
Great question. We'll do that. Save that one for the ads.
Yeah.
We'll bring the ads guys into that one. We'll bring the ads guys in. Okay, I'm conscious we can run down that four.
Sorry, I've just thought of something else. Variations make it easier to shop on the brand store. So what I'm finding is that there's one module where you can link a single product, and if it's variated, you'll have a nice big module where you can click down and see the other products within it, which makes it easier to shop on a storefront. So again, if you do decide to separate them out, you might then have to change the way that people are shopping on your storefront.
Fantastic. Great. Let me quickly find our next question, guys. What have we got? Let's go with this one from Lucy. How should I decide which ASINs deserve premium content first? I'm assuming that's premium A+ content. How do you decide where you should put that kind of investment? Because for brands, it's actually two investments sometimes. If you're on vendor, there's actually can be quite a high cost attached to just being able to do premium A+ content. Then there's a cost of creating it. So for some brands, this could be a fairly significant investment. How do you decide where to prioritize that?
Where do you want to have an impact? So are you looking at your hero ASINs? Can you do some testing as to whether a premium A+ content works for those and helps boost conversion? I think hero was always where you would aim to start. Where are you getting the most traffic? Simple for me.
Yeah, I'd say the same. Follow where the sales are. If you've got something that's already doing quite well, I would just say to continue pushing that one. To improve conversion there.
And not the other side of the coin could be, have you got some low conversion products that would maybe benefit from a change in content? So is the content not saying enough about the product? Can you try and boost performance and conversion through a change in premium A+ content to then help boost the product? Test, you could do 2 heroes, 1 lower performing, and see what happens.
I think with A+ premium as well, that's a good strategy, because a product might not be selling because you might not be able to use all of the features from a standard A+. So you can really, if it's a technical product, you can really use the modules that you get within A+ premium and the video feature as well to really exercise kind of showcasing all of the features of a particular product within the premium aspect of A+.
Yeah, there's also the comparison chart. So like I was saying, like I would personally say go for one of your best sellers that has got a lot of visibility, because then you can use a comparison chart to kind of boost your lower performing products and get a bit more visibility on there to kind of improve cross sales and like stop any leakage to competitors.
Thank you very much, guys. The next one we have, and this is an emailed in question. So it's come from Whitney, our marketing manager. This was emailed in after the last podcast episode. How should brands adapt content across different marketplaces instead of just translating it? I'm going to interpret that. That could be 2 things: different marketplaces, as in Amazon versus eBay versus TikTok, or different markets, as in UK, France, or Italy. Let's take the international angle on that. You know, how should brands adapt that content? Should it just be translated, or is actually localizing it and understanding the local audience a bit more important? Might be a clue in my question.
Yeah, so don't just translate, localize. We've got a live example of this happening with the current client, where the conversion and the actual targeting customers is really difficult from Germany versus UK. And what we needed to look into is, how are people local in Germany searching for that product? What are their buying priorities? Because they do differentiate between the UK and Europe and America. So definitely it's not just a case of translating. There's also so many different dialects that you need to take into consideration. Luckily, I have German family at hand, so I was able to message them to say, how would you search for this particular product? What words would you use? What keywords would you use? And I was able to get like local knowledge as to how someone would search for that product. And it was the absolute opposite of what we were translating it to. So there's a lot more research and search to go into how your product comes across in a different territory.
It's different lifestyles as well. So say, for example, you've got a product in the UK and you're then going to sell it in Spain, for example. Completely different lifestyle. So yes, you've got to think of the use case differences.
When I've talked about this, I've got an example from my old skincare brand. We sold a chamois cream, which was for cyclists. It's basically a glorified moisturizer for a cyclist bum, or for the pad in the shorts to stop chafing. And if you translate that literally into French and Spanish, it means nothing in the market. In the UK, we call it a chamois cream. What they actually call it, I always get these 2 examples mixed up, but one of those markets was called a bum cream. So you had to use the local translation of bum cream, not chamois cream. And in the other market, I think if you translated chamois cream literally, it became something like donkey cream. So it's completely irrelevant and just didn't match what the consumer was looking for. The way I talk about this is, don't look like a dad on the dance floor. You know, if I go to a school disco, I'm going to look like an absolute wally because I move like a dad. And if you put a product into a market that looks clearly like it's not natural, it's not meant to be there, it is going to look like a dad on the dance floor. Start from the local market side of things if you want your product to convert well. Don't get me wrong, you can look like a dad on the dance floor and still sell something, but you're not going to maximize your potential. So you have to start looking at the market first.
Look at local. Sorry.
We've all seen products where it's clearly been translated from like Chinese, for example, and you can just tell from a mile off. So yeah, you think about how that affects you and your buying habits, and yeah, you can put yourself in the shoes of your then consumers.
Yep, definitely. Look at what the local competition are doing. It's very, very quick exercise to see like the top 5 performing products within that category, within that territory. Take a look through their listings, see the structure of that, and then you don't have to replicate, but at least you've got an idea of what's actually selling.
Lovely, thank you. Before I go into the last few questions, quick question for everybody else that's watching. Obviously, we've talked a lot about content today. We're just going to pop another poll up on the screen. If you do have any follow-ups, if you want to start looking at a benchmark for the content that you're running Amazon for your brand, please just take one of the 3 options on the screen. Yes, we'd be interested. Yes, but get in touch later in the year. Or no thanks, and that poll will then disappear back on the screen. And that's just allowed me to pad a little bit more before I select the next question that we've got to take. We'll probably get another couple in here before the end of today's session. We're going to take this one from Sharon. As Amazon's a global platform, their product images are sometimes changed or removed by Amazon or other marketplaces. That can reduce listings from 8 images to 1, or it might show non-UK images in the UK. Is there any way that they can receive alerts when these images change so they can react to it? And how can they prevent other marketplaces overriding images on their ASIN? I'm referring to this as well, maybe not just Amazon doing it, but other sellers. We know that other sellers can come in and contribute to a listing change. So for you guys that are hands-on with this, what can you do to be alerted, be notified, and ideally prevent those kind of things happening?
Yes, I use Merchant Spring. So we use it for a lot of things, but one of the new beta programs that they've released is that it has a content alerts feature, and it'll show you if the titles have changed, the bullet points, the images, and it'll show you the differences as well. So which image has fallen off, what it expected to see and what it now sees, so that you're not trolling through like hundreds of child ASINs trying to find differences. It just alerts you straight there. So that is my go-to. Do it every morning. It's nice and easy.
Yeah. For us, it's management exceptions, isn't it, Jess? We've got the tools that do that for us and our clients. We know this will happen. It's just how you can catch it quickly.
Yeah,
Yes.
Helium 10 and Keeper have options as well for notifications. And then a key one is brand registry. If you don't have that brand registration in place, then it's very, very easy for people to take over those listings. So something to protect yourself and your brand is brand registry.
I think also depending on the size of your brand, so I think very easy to put tools in place to detect has it changed. So like Jess's Merchant Spring, Emma's mentioned a couple there. Data Hawk was another platform we looked at back in the early days of DF that does that, not just image notification at any point of your listing notifications. But then also think, how do you respond to it? And if you're a large brand with a big catalog on Amazon, I'd be looking at having some kind of content management, digital asset management, or channel management solution in place, so you can rapidly push a listing back to Amazon and push all those 8 UK images back, not just the one that's left there. Otherwise, if you've got that on a catalog or a brand-wide problem, even 8 images on 10 listings in one marketplace, that's an admin job a day that makes you very, very ineffective. So 1, a piece of tech to monitor, and 2, if you're a big brand with a large catalog, a piece of tech to allow you just to push content back to Amazon at the click of the button as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what have we got next? So we've got another, probably time for a couple more. Let's take this one from Fiona. With Amazon launching virtual bundles, do you have any advice on the best content to use for these when combining best-selling products?
First of all, they need to work properly. I think they've been launched and there's been a lot of hiccups. I know we've got so many open cases at the moment. So don't heavily rely on them as such, because it's been that whole new, Amazon have relaunched it, and typical Amazon have not made sure that it 100% works. But the key things with virtual bundles is lead with use case. If you're able to see people purchasing one particular product and then purchasing 2 or 3 alongside, you've got the conversion value there ready to use as data to support that bundle. And then you really, really need to show the benefits of buying those products together through that virtual bundle as well. Highlight the reason why someone needs to maybe spend a little bit more to purchase multiple products at once.
I'm just waiting, holding, making sure there's nothing else before I mark that one as answered. Thank you very much, guys. I've got one at the top here, a large number of those. It's quite a generic question, so I've kind of saved this for the last kind of 5 minutes discussion. Great question that has come in from Lewis. So if you have a product that sells 50 plus times a month on average, the content is good, images are good, what advice can you provide to take that listing to the next level to hit 100, 200 plus sales per month? Before we go into content, I'm going to go with a data answer to this, Lewis, and then we'll delve into the content. I think you've got to pressure test the assumption that that product can actually sell 100 a month or 200 a month. So I'd be starting with category data. If you're selling widgets, does the widget category support you selling more than 50? Because you might already be at the ceiling. Now, assuming you've done the work on that and there is headroom on it, then working out how to get to 100, how to get to 200, for me is still a data question to start with. Who is doing 100, who is doing 200, and what are the differentiators between what they're doing and what you're doing? I'm deliberately not saying content as yet. Price, advertising strategy, quality of product, value proposition. I'd be starting with those areas first, commercial, strategic things, before then coming down and hoping that or expecting that content or advertising or something else on the technical side of things would be the game changer. Assuming then that, Lewis, you've done all that homework and you've got a category that supports doubling the sales, I'm going to then kind of open this up to you, Rob, Emma, and Jess. Where would you go from a content point of view then to try and drive? At this point, it'll be two things: greater rankings or greater conversion of the product through content.
I would start with what the conversion is. So what is your average conversion, and what is the average conversion for the category that you're sat in? So it could be that your conversion is too low compared to what you would typically see in that category. Once you know that, you can start to do A/B testing. So you can do new keyword research to update your bullet points and your titles. Use the A/B testing so that you can have data-backed decisions to then go, oh, actually, that improved my conversion. And do the same for your infographics as well. We also talked about different types of text. So I talked about Shulex earlier about looking at the review data. So do a review analysis on your own products and on the bestseller in the category or a couple of the bestsellers. And again, just kind of see where they're doing well. Is there something that you can learn from that and pull into your infographics or your bullet points? Is there somewhere that they're falling down that you know that you can show that your products are working? But yeah, so I'd work with conversion first and then see if with tweaks you can then continue to grow the conversion.
Any more thoughts?
I think, from what Jess just said there, kind of A/B testing is from my perspective, is the big kind of where you see the variables of what's converting and what's not converting, and all of the stuff that these guys do in terms of their analysis and everything, and then briefing that into me and seeing what we can change on what's currently available on the listing and where it's falling short compared to other competitors is where you'll make those gains. And it might be the case that you do need video content. It might be the case that you do need to just push in certain areas where you're kind of not utilizing everything that's currently on offer to you. I think sometimes that's the main gain from a image, content, video perspective, is to just really maximize everything at your disposal. If you are able to get A+ premium, if it's use it and use every module to sell every aspect of your product.
Yeah, doing almost like an audit on your own products. So looking at every single piece of your content on your listings, your titles, your bullet points, go down and just check through everything, make that list, and then see where you can improve. Yeah.
The key one for that is to get somebody who doesn't sit and look at that product every single day to do that audit. It's very, very easy to have the blinkers on when you're looking at your own products day in, day out. If you get somebody external or even someone that doesn't necessarily work within that department, it makes a massive difference as to how that audit is completed and done.
I think if I was to summarise how I'd approach that and bring some of that great insight that you guys have brought together, I'm not sure if, Lewis, from the question you're hoping that ones would say add this specific image or change this feature. In 7 years of running VentureForge, I really wish my team had come to me at some point and said, if we just did this one thing on this listing for every client, it would fly. But the actual answer to this is the process. Use data and insight to help you understand where you think you might be able to improve. Use testing tools to actually validate that. So we're not saying, hey, Rob, can you design me a new graphic that changes things and makes me an amazing seller? It's, I've got a hypothesis that if I change X, Y, and Z, something positive will happen, and running that through an A/B testing, conversion optimization process, create the hypothesis, test the outcome. It will either move you forward or it won't. Lock that change in, move on to the next. I think when I hear you talk, Jess, that's almost where all of your wins come from. It's not the silver bullet, it's the process of testing and iterating.
Yeah, there's no quick win. It is very much doing that investigation, like I said before, and seeing where there are the small wins. And after a few small wins, you'll just see that conversion will creep and creep and creep.
You know what, I'm going to contradict myself. If there is a silver bullet or anything that's been close to a silver bullet in our business, it's been one, the A/B testing tools themselves from Amazon and being able to test more things specifically and use data. And I'll come back to the point made about Shoelex earlier, a tool that will review your listings and most importantly your reviews and tell you why customers are buying from you, tell you why they don't like your product, and also running that against your competition. I think that's probably the closest we've ever got to a silver bullet, because it gives you a good starting point for your A/B testing, but then it is about the process. So, thank you very much, everyone. I'm conscious we are now 1 minute over schedule. Not too many people have dropped off. I'm always conscious that 1 hour timeline people run into their next meeting, so I always try to get us just out the door at the right time. But massive thank you to everybody who's joined us in the audience today. I really appreciate you putting your questions in, putting us on the spot, asking some really, really intelligent questions and making Rob and Emma and Jess sweat a little bit this morning. That's been oddly satisfying to sit and watch from this side. And of course, thank you to you three guys for bringing your insight and answers to those questions. If you do want to learn more about VentureForge, please just drop us a line at hello@ventureforge.co.uk. If you've got any more follow-up questions that we didn't get to, our team in the background will reach out to you and provide answers to those as well. So thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time, and keep your eye out for the next episode of VentureForge podcast coming to you in approximately 3 weeks' time. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.